Okay, now we're starting the third day, or the third part of the conversion of a Word document to printable version. And then someone just posted something about covers for books, and I just wanted to note that I probably will get into covers. And the book that we're talking about this is the final cover. And one thing I wanted to note that I wasn't happy with the margin here because of the cover image goes over the side. So I actually made it a bit smaller, and I just emailed someone about that. I will get to the issue of creating the cover for this particular book. That'll be a little bit down the road. For now, we're back to our basic document, and I will confess that I made a rookie mistake. I usually when I work, I save things to the cloud, and I don't worry about saving. The old days, I'd save a lot more diligently. So I actually forgot to save what we had done yesterday, so I redid it. Now you'll note here, table of contents, there are a lot more than there were yesterday, and that's because I went in and I created a bunch. I went through the process of creating the header with the chapter title and the first paragraph for a lot more chapters. And I did that so that we would have more than one page for the table of contents. And you can see that. Um, so I wanted to talk about a couple of things initially. Um, and in part, start with headers. Now I had a revelation in a sense that these headers, they're kind of like in sci-fi, where you have two virtually identical planets, but they're a little bit different. And this is the uh, even page, and this is the odd page. And so what we need to do here is, okay, delete this. Ultimately, you want the even page header to have the number will be on the margin, and the name will be centered. And on the odd number pages, the title will be centered and the number will be on the right margin. And that requires, in the latter case, 2 tabs. And in the former case, 1 tab. So here's what you need to do. And this is basic word processing, which is, when I say word processing, I mean using Word, is to set the tabs for your headers, which are page numbers. Now, the issue here is that you have different margins on the left side and the right side. And as we recall, what we set up were the margins as follows. We have 0.6 on the inside. I'm sorry, that's backwards. Let me alter that. I made a mistake when I redid it this morning. It's 0.8 on the outside, 0.6 on the inside. Okay, the whole document. Okay, okay, that's more like it. That means it's a weird calculation for the margins in the headers. And the way to do that is to use an old pen and a piece of paper. And you're doing the following calculation. The paper is 6 inches wide, okay, 6.0. The left margin is 0, one margin is 0.8, and the other margin is 0.6. So you take the 1.4 off the 6.0, and you end up with 4.6, and half of that is 2.3. Now that may seem particularly simple, but here's why it matters. You go into the header, and you're gonna have to do this twice. So paragraph, tabs, clear them all out. Then you don't want to go the 2.3, which is your center. And always when you're doing tabs, you have to hit set. While I'm here, even though this is the even number page, I might as well do it. Just in case, set. Okay, boom. Now you can see that's now centered. I have to do the same thing on this side. Paragraph, tabs, clear them all, and then it's 2.3 center, set 4.6, 4.6, right? Set. Okay, boom. Now, while we're here, let me make it so it's easier to read. With vertical, okay. We want to change these. Obviously we want to change the font for this. So text size, I like to make the text the same size as the text. We're using Times New Roman 12. So basically all it is double clicking to get in the header, highlight it, go to home, go to put in your Times New Roman 12, boom. Now notice it did the number as well. Boom, now that's beginning to look what I want it to look like. I do the exact same thing. Remember, it's the other planet over here. So that I go up, Times New Roman 12, boom. And that, all of a sudden, we now have quite a good looking header. You can adjust a little bit here to between the header, and this would be even page 2 and page 3. So this is what you would see, or this the reader would see, is this. Let me get rid of the, this is nice and centered on the right margin, okay? And you can see it came over to here. So that takes care of that. Now we have a text that is in almost ready to go shape, okay? And as I've said yesterday, at the end, what you would do is you would go and you would drop cap each paragraph. And I'll show you how to do that later. You do it really quickly. Up cap. Okay, boom. But we don't want that for present. Well, I'll leave that for now, but I'll show you why. And now your text is basically done. Okay, you can see it's all nice. Okay. So what else? What else do you need to do? Well, let me turn first to the table of contents. Now, to generate a table of contents, you do Control A. Control A simply highlights the entire document. You hit F9. You see the two options here: update page numbers only. That makes no changes to the text. It just says when you make final adjustments to the, you might have things move around on the page. And if you customized your table, you don't want to have it regenerate, because then any customization you have done will be gone. But we have no customization. So, okay, boom. There's our table of contents. Now, this is going to be pretty complicated, but it basically is nothing more than, now you say, why do you want a table of contents? I mean, I've a chapter called the morgue, prostitute. Look at this. You know, this is ruination. I mean, who wouldn't want to read this book anyway? Here's what you do to fix this. And what by fix it, this isn't so bad. Okay, but I don't like the font. Okay, and there may be other things I don't like, and I would modify it. But generally for books, you don't have major issues about your table of content. You don't have indentations where you have multiple levels. You don't have to worry so much about the right margin. So I won't worry about the right margin for our purposes. But to do edits, you have somewhere in the gray, you hit the right button. Okay, you go edit field, because each of these entries is a field. They call it TOC, table of contents, boom. And this is what you get. Okay, this is what you get. And what all you want to do, and you can see, normally if you do heading 1, remember these are defined the styles, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, it indents them. And later on, I'll show you what I mean, how that's important. It's very important for legal briefs, things like that. But we don't have to worry about it. And I'm intentionally using a document that only has one level, that only uses heading 1. There are other books may have heading 1 and heading 2. Gets a little tricky, but we're not worrying about that. You can see here, show page numbers, right align page numbers. We will address this thing a little bit later because that's something that you want to change when you're going to be uploading a document to Draft2Digital or elsewhere to create an EPUB, okay? And we're going to also have to modify it for EPUB purposes as well. Remember I said there are only two major differences between this document for paperback and this document for EPUB. One of them is the table, and the other one, as I mentioned, are the drop caps at the beginning of the paragraph. We don't have to worry about that now. So all this is very simple. All we want to do is modify. We can modify any number of things in here, but all we really want to modify for our purposes is the formatting, the font size, and the font name, Times New Roman 12. As simple as that. Okay. 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 Do you want to replace? Yes. Okay, boom. There we have it. There we have the table of contents. Now, what about the word content? That in and of itself is a style. So you can make this whatever you want. You treat this as any other paragraph because it has its own distinct paragraph. I have it Edwardian. There seems to be more of a gap after than I'd like. Let's make it 6 point after. Okay. I can, let's say I want to underline. Okay, underline. I'm just trying as an example. Then you do exactly what you do in elsewhere with modifying a style when it's not up in this top here. You hit the right button on your mouse, you go to styles, it takes, this is your table of contents, hit the right button as you did, we showed going up before, update the table. Okay, so now you don't, every time you generate this, it will look like that. The word content will look like this. You can change the format, the font, anything you want. That takes care of that. Let me save this because, as I said, I forgot to save it last time. And it was a problem. Okay, so this is, we're in pretty good shape now. Now, I mentioned that I want to modify these things, and I want to avoid even though something in text is that's in text. Okay, let's do this in text. I can modify this. To give it a different look, okay? But when I change the text, if I wanted to change the text later, it would wipe all of that out. When I say I can modify this, I can just take this one paragraph and I can say, no, I want it centered. I don't want it to first line intent. And this is, Now it's still in the, this is still in the text style, but I've modified it, okay? But if I then click text, it's going to go to what I did. Okay, so if I then modify text, the thing about modifying something, let me just give you an example. Okay, this is text, and let me just change it to 20. Boom. Watch what happens when I do this. Well, nothing happened. No, that didn't happen here because this is not the text. But everywhere in the document, text was modified. Now text is 20. Okay, so if even if I didn't want to change it to 20, everything would change to 20 and I have to change it back. So let me just change it back. This is how easy it is. If you don't like the look of it, you say, I don't like the look of it, you modify it. And there's another thing I wanted to point out to you. Okay, update text to match. Boom. Now you saw that this, when I did that, maybe you can see this is not, this paragraph is the first paragraph style. It is not the text file, but for reasons I don't quite understand, it has been modified to match. I only changed the font in text, yet it changed the font here. I don't know why it does that, but you can see when I changed it back, it changed that back too. So, and that's one reason I don't use normal, because I think it has the same type of effect and it may be even broader. So let's say, okay, let's use this. I don't even know what this style, this doesn't have a style. So let's create a style and just call it center. What the heck, center. Cool. So now the center is, I don't like first line intent for center, so get rid of that. It's centered, everything else is the same. Okay, now it's up here, hit the right button, boom. So center all this, center, boom. Grab it. There we go. Nice center. And by the way, I copied this. I cheated. I copied this. So let's just put this all as center for now. Okay, and boom. Again, we're almost there for having this document ready to go. Okay. Now, I want to try to isolate this as something else, by which I mean a different style. So I'm just going to create a style for this. Okay. And I'm not going to use it later on or very much, but let me just call it cover. Okay. And I'm doing that in order so that if I want to change something else in like center, like here, it won't change this. And now I can just futz around with this. And basically, as I said, I like this Edwardian font. Boom. Oh, I accidentally hit that. Go. Okay. And now it's just a question of I can just make the font bigger. And this is basically you eyeball it and do you decide how you want it. And I mean, I could change the style to this. Let me do that. Made a mistake there. Undo. The mistake was I wasn't on this when I changed the cover. Boom. See? But I don't want all of the others to be the same size. So, but I can change them without worrying about the style. Just make eyeball it to make it, make these guys smaller. That's too small. My name. Too big. I mean, what? Make this a little bit bigger, like 54. And there, and then you can just, put returns, make it look like, and change the font to here to make it fit. It's 36 by 32. Again, all eyeballing it, and that's how you want to do it. Okay. This document right now is pretty ready to go. Okay, as a book. So let me save it. And let me do this. I've just saved it. And let me save as Adobe. Now, there's something I have to talk about here, but let me just, well, I might have to do a document. I'll just save it. Now, I use Adobe for work. So I don't have the basic Adobe. I have like you pay for it Adobe, and I use it a fair amount. And if there may be some things I do that you can't do if you just have your basic Adobe, I apologize. Oh, it's converting. Let me go here. Oh, great. Okay. Whoa. I don't know about that. I don't know what happened. Okay. Let me share a window. And there, this is the document. This is what we just generated. Okay. And let me go here. I'm going to do something off. I'm not so adept at the share screen stuff. So just stay here. Okay, now I could be back. What I wanted to do is put in paste. There we go. This is my little logo. A little bigger. I can leave it that size, but let me do this. Let me just center it. Boom. Then I just kind of futz with it, and I can make that a little bigger. I just did that to show you that you could put images in and you can make it bigger. and boom. So if we then switch down to the PDF file, there you go. This is a document that you would then be able to upload to KDP or any Ingram Spark as the content, the text of your book. So that's what I'm going to do next time. We're going to go through and I think do a couple of things. We're going to go through the process of uploading it to Draft2Digital to create an EPUB book. And I'll just go through the process of uploading it to a KDP with a cover. And we'll see how that process goes and how, in fact, that document we created, just technically, I mean, obviously the words are the product of the author, but how you can then convert that fairly simply into a document that looks, as I showed you, um, um, with um, with KDP, and that you can flip it and it looks really pretty. The word I like to use is professional because it's like marks it as something. It's an independent publication. You've done it yourself. Once you've worked through it, you don't have to hire someone else to do all the formatting for you. You're ready to go, and it has the look that you would expect to find in a book that was was traditionally published, and that's the objective here. And the tools are there to do it yourself. And again, as I said last time, some of this stuff is complicated, particularly the table of contents. It's complicated. It takes a while, and it takes me more than one iteration to get it right with most of the products I do. So don't be concerned that you're not going to be able to do it. It's trial and error is a lot. You wouldn't believe how many distinct uploads I make for a simple document to Draft2Digital to get the EPUB version I like. The same thing with Canva, which is what I use for my covers to get them right. The fine tuning they have to go through, but the internet makes it so easy to do that you can just take a look, you can see what it looks like, and then you can make the change on the fly, basically. And as I mentioned, one thing about KDP, even if you're not going to publish through KDP, you can take advantage of what Amazon makes available for you, and you can create a proof that you'll get in a couple of days. I should have had one here. I don't. And you can look at that proof, and you can get the proof before your text is finalized, because you're likely whatever number of pages you're going to have, it's going to be very close to the number of pages you're going to have in the final version. So you can get it, you can look at the technical stuff in like 4 or 5 days, you get it at cost. You're told the cost of printing and the cost of shipping. Boom, you get it. You can check the cover. As I said, I had an issue with the cover I got, and I've changed it now, but that was the second time, and I don't know what I did to change it. And the first time it was fine. The second time, the print on the cover was a little too big. You can get it. You can check the font size, the margins, and all that other stuff, the cover and how it looks. And then when you're ready to go, you're ready to go. And I'll go through the process of using Draft2Digital to get your EPUB and using KDP to get a proof of your paperback version, and then ultimately to get a hardcover version, which, because it gets expensive, and this book sells for like $29.99 in a hardcover, fine, but I can get copies of a hardcover version of my book, maybe only as a keepsake through Lulu. And I know I think Amazon is now betaing the hardcover, but there really is, if you've written a book, there's really a difference between the hardcover and this. So the second book, this is the second book. It's hardcover book, and no one's going to buy it. But, you know, to sit down and have your book and say, wow, the body of this is exactly the body um, in the paperback. But, you know, for $20 to get a copy of your book in a hardcover version, and if you go through Lulu, you don't even have to set it up to be published. You can just basically privately have it printed at cost, and you can give people a copy of your nice little, you know, your nice hardcover book. This one does have ISBN because it is available. I mean, it doesn't cost anything to make it available. And actually it shows up on Amazon. If you go to Amazon, the hardcover show up. But we'll go through the process of doing this hardcover. There's a little promotion for the book. I have hardcover of Roshin as well. And that's about it for now. And again, if you have any comments, suggestions, or otherwise, just let me know. And that's it for this very nice Friday in suburban New York.